Hours after my C-section, I texted, "Please, I can't lift the baby." Mom replied, "We're busy. You'll be fine." I cried so quietly. The nurse heard. 3 weeks later, I woke to 43 missed calls. And my sister's message, "We're desperate. Send $2,300 or you're cut off from Thanksgiving." I didn't make a scene. I didn't expect balloons or flowers. I didn't even expect anyone to be waiting at the hospital. I just thought they'd at least reply when I said I was in pain. It was 6 hours after my C-section. The spinal had worn off. The baby was crying in the little bassinet next to my bed, and I could barely lift my head, let alone him. I didn't want to call the nurse again. She'd already helped me 3 times in the past hour. I didn't want to seem helpless, so I texted my mom. Short and clear. "Please, I can't lift the baby. Can someone come?" I waited 10 minutes, 15. Then her message lit up the screen. "We're busy. You'll be fine." That's all she wrote. I didn't cry loud. It was a stupid thing how quiet it came out of me. Just a shaky breath. But the nurse still heard it. She walked in without knocking. And the next thing I knew, she was at my side, lifting the baby into my arms. She didn't say anything for a while, just adjusted my pillows and covered my feet with the blanket. Then she looked at me and said, "You're not alone. Not here." Her name was Diana. She was maybe in her 50s, a little tough, a little warm. She reminded me of someone, but I couldn't figure out who. Over the next 3 days, she and 2 other nurses rotated shifts, but they always made time to come check on me. Not because it was their job. They stayed. One of them brought me an extra pudding cup. Diana brought me her charger when mine broke. We ended up exchanging numbers the day I was discharged. When I stepped outside the hospital, still sore and slow, holding my son in the carrier, there was no one there. No balloons, no car seat installed, no welcome home. I took a taxi. The driver asked if someone was meeting me at the door. I just said no. He helped carry the baby up to the porch. That was more than my family did. My parents were on a river cruise in Europe. They said they needed a break after everything. I still don't know what everything meant. I was the one who had just given birth. 3 weeks passed. Long, sleepless days. Short naps interrupted by feedings. I figured maybe they'd call. Ask how the baby was. Ask how I was. Nothing. Until one morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls. I thought something had happened to them. I panicked. I was breastfeeding when I saw my sister's message come in. "We're desperate. Send $2,300 or you're cut off from Thanksgiving." They had no idea what was coming. I read that text twice, then a third time. My sister wasn't joking. Apparently, somewhere between Vienna and Prague, my parents got pickpocketed, all their money gone. They didn't buy return tickets because, in her words, they wanted to be spontaneous. Now they were stranded. And since I was the only one not traveling or in school, they decided I should pay for their return. I was sitting there in an old robe, unshowered, baby latched to me, one hand on my phone, and all I could think was, they ignored every message I sent, every plea for help, and now I was their bank account. I didn't respond. They kept calling. My mom even left a voicemail, the only one in months. She said this would be a family betrayal I'd regret forever, especially since Thanksgiving was sacred in our family. I nearly laughed out loud. She hadn't even called me after I gave birth. But Thanksgiving, that was sacred. So I didn't reply. Instead, I texted Diana. I told her everything. She didn't say much back, just asked if I needed anything. That same afternoon, she came over with groceries and held the baby while I took my first real shower in days. She even brought me a hot sandwich. That was the first actual meal I'd had in 4 days. The next morning, another message came in. This time from my dad. "We'll be home on Sunday. You're not off the hook for this. You've been selfish." Selfish. That word stuck in my throat like glass. I was bleeding, healing, nursing, waking up 10 times a night, and somehow I was selfish. Sunday came. I didn't hear anything that morning. I kept expecting a knock or some dramatic scene, but the day stayed quiet until 9 o'clock p.m. My doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and felt my stomach drop. They were standing there, my dad holding his phone in one hand, my mom glaring at the door like I owed her something. My sister wasn't there, but I saw her car parked across the street. I didn't open the door. I didn't say anything. I just stood there watching them knock. Bang. Wait. Bang. Again. Then a soft buzz came from my phone. "Diana, I'm 10 minutes away. You okay?" I texted back, "They're here. Be right there." They kept knocking. 20 minutes went by. I stayed frozen in the hallway, holding my baby. When Diana pulled up and stepped out of her car, she didn't even say anything to me. She walked right up the steps, told them to leave. My mom started raising her voice, but Diana didn't flinch. She told them she'd call the police if they didn't get off the property. My dad tried to argue, said he just wanted to talk sense into me. Diana didn't budge. They left eventually. My mom muttered something I couldn't hear. Diana stayed the night on my couch. That's when we started planning the move. Diana didn't waste time with pity. She moved fast, like someone who's seen this kind of thing before, like someone who knew what it meant when a woman says they're here and means it more like a warning than a statement. That night, after she kicked them off my porch, we sat in my kitchen. The baby was finally asleep, and the quiet felt like something fragile I didn't want to break. Diana had a notepad out, not even digital, old school. She was writing down names of neighborhoods, landlords she trusted, people who wouldn't ask too many questions. "You don't need to live in fear," she said. "We'll make sure they never find you." That line stuck with me. Over the next few days, she called in favors. A retired nurse she used to work with had a cousin managing properties in a neighborhood I'd never even heard of. Tucked on the edge of the city, quiet, mostly retirees and young families. No one from my old life would think to check there. We visited the apartment together. It wasn't fancy, no granite countertops or shiny appliances, but it was clean. The windows let in real light, and the neighbors minded their business. When we stepped inside, something just settled in me, like my body finally believed I could be safe. I signed the lease before I had time to overthink it. Moving was brutal. I couldn't lift anything heavier than a pillow, and the baby still needed me every hour. But Diana and her friend from the hospital, Nurse Carla, showed up in old sneakers and hoodies like they were running a secret mission. They packed everything fast, quiet, no fuss. They even brought bins and labeled everything. I just sat there stunned. They set up the crib, stocked my fridge, made sure the heat worked. We didn't tell anyone. No Instagram update, no group chat, no change of address email. I left a brief note for the landlord, dropped my key in the box, and we disappeared. I changed my number. Only Diana and Carla got the new one. 2 days after the move, I got a string of texts on the old number. They must have still been trying. From my mom. "Thanksgiving is next week. Are you finally done with the drama?" Then another. "You'll regret this. Families don't stay mad forever, but mothers don't forget." She was right about one thing. Mothers don't forget. But she forgot everything that mattered. I didn't respond. That Thanksgiving, I sat on my new couch with my baby asleep on my chest. Diana brought over homemade soup and stayed for a movie. Carla popped by too. She brought cookies and wiped down my counters like she'd always lived here. They didn't say anything about the holiday. They just stayed like family does. I had peace for the first time in a long time, and that peace lasted right up until my parents came back for round 2. It had been nearly 3 weeks since I moved. No calls, no texts, just quiet. I thought maybe they'd given up. I even started sleeping a little more, finally felt like I could breathe. Diana stopped by a few times a week, brought groceries, helped with the baby, sometimes just sat and drank coffee with me while the baby napped. It was the kind of simple support I hadn't known I needed until I had it. Then came Tuesday late afternoon. I had just gotten the baby down after his 3rd fight with a nap, and Diana was over helping me sort through paperwork, insurance stuff, birth certificate, things I kept putting off. The knock was loud, not friendly. Diana looked at me. We didn't say anything, just froze for a second. Then the yelling started. "Where's your mom? We know you're in there, Janet. Open the door right now. We're not playing games." I peeked through the side window. My dad was there too, and this time he wasn't empty-handed. He was holding a clipboard. I didn't open the door. I didn't move. I just whispered to Diana that they somehow found me. Her face didn't change. She stood up, walked to the door, and opened it. Just a crack. Before she could say anything, my dad shoved a stack of papers through the gap and said something about legal intervention and parental visitation rights. I felt sick. They were trying to use the baby. I should have expected it, but I didn't. Diana stepped outside and shut the door behind her. I could hear my mom getting louder. I backed into the hallway with the baby monitor, heart pounding. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then silence. Diana came back inside, locked the door behind her, and tossed the papers on the kitchen table. She said they were empty threats, downloaded legal templates, nothing filed, nothing real, but the intention was real enough. And it got worse. The next morning, I found out they had tried to talk to my neighbor, asked if anyone knew who the baby belonged to, or if a young mother had moved in recently. I was done. I told Diana I couldn't stay here, not if they were asking around, not if they were willing to drag the courts into it, even just to scare me. She nodded, didn't argue, just said, I've got a friend. She knows someone who rents out a small guest house, not listed online, fully private. That night, Diana made a few calls. By the next afternoon, I had an address. We packed again fast, this time even quieter than before. Carla helped too. She even drove the moving van. The guest house was behind a main house, hidden by hedges, with a separate entrance and its own tiny garden. Looked like something from a movie. I didn't tell anyone, not even the neighbor I liked from the old place. They wouldn't find me again. And they haven't. I didn't realize how tightly I'd been holding my breath until I unlocked the door to the guest house and stepped inside. It was small, yes, but it smelled clean, like fresh wood and something faintly herbal. The kind of place no one just stumbles across. You'd have to know exactly what you were looking for to find it. The entrance was hidden behind a long driveway hedged off from the main road. Even the mailbox was blank. It was like the world had finally given me permission to disappear. There was no crib yet, no decorations, just the bassinet in the corner of the bedroom and a suitcase I barely had the energy to unpack. But somehow that night, I felt more like a mother than I ever had. I sat with my baby in the dark, fed him by the soft glow of a single lamp, and for once, there was no fear of what was outside the window. Diana came by the next morning. She brought groceries, a box of wipes, a package of pacifiers, and a set of blackout curtains she picked up just in case. She walked through the place like she was inspecting it for safety, checking locks, testing the faucet, making a mental list. She didn't say much, just gave a little nod like, okay, this will work. By the end of the day, she'd already arranged a secondhand drop-off from someone she knew. Carla showed up with a laundry basket full of hand-me-down baby clothes and burp cloths. They didn't ask what I could afford. They didn't wait to be thanked. They just acted. That first week, I didn't tell a soul where I was, not even old friends I trusted. The baby had colic most nights, and I barely slept. But there was a strange peace in being untouchable. My parents didn't know the city. My sister didn't know my routine. No one could track me, and I made sure of it. No online orders, no social media check-ins, nothing with my name attached to this address. A few days after we settled in, I got a new text from a number I didn't recognize. Where did you go? Thanksgiving wasn't the same. Your sister cried. I read it once, then again. The tone was cold. Not concern, not remorse. It was guilt as manipulation. As if my absence ruined their holiday. As if my sister's tears somehow erased the silence after my surgery. I blocked the number without responding. But it didn't stop. 2 days later, another message came. We're ready to move past this. Just admit you overreacted. Let's talk. This time I forwarded it to Diana. I didn't even need to explain. She just replied, block them. Focus on you. So I did. I blocked every number I didn't recognize. I stopped checking my old email. I pulled out of every group chat with my last name in it. The silence was uncomfortable at first, not peaceful, just empty. But then it started to feel like space, like freedom. And the strange part, in the middle of all this, the isolation, the fear, the starting over, I felt something like grief for the life I used to want, for the idea that family shows up, that moms rush to the hospital, that sisters bring you soup and cry tears of joy over new babies. It never happened, but I grieved it anyway. Meanwhile, Diana showed up every few days. Sometimes she brought things. Sometimes she just stayed long enough to rock the baby while I showered. Once I came home from a walk and found my porch swept, a box of groceries at the door, and a sticky note that just said, "Get some rest. We've got you." No name, but I didn't need one. No one else came. No more knocks. No more scenes. No more ultimatums tied to holidays. The baby started to sleep through the night now. I even found time to hang a picture on the wall. Just one. It's a photo Diana took of me holding him in the kitchen, laughing. No makeup, messy bun. I almost didn't recognize myself, but it's staying up. It reminds me that this version of me, the quiet, strong, unseen one, is still here, still standing. It's been 3 months now. The baby sleeps through most nights. I've memorized the creak in the floor near his room and figured out how to fold a stroller with one hand while holding a bottle in the other. I know which neighbors walk their dogs at 6 o'clock a.m. and which days the trash pickup runs late. The world didn't fall apart after I left them. Nothing exploded, no great showdown, just distance and then silence. They stopped trying after Christmas. No letters, no voicemails, not even the usual guilt-laced texts from my sister. I don't know if it's because they finally gave up or because they're still waiting for me to come around. Either way, they don't know where I live, and they never will. I don't trust that silence. Not completely. I still check the locks twice at night, but now it's habit, not fear. Diana still comes by. Not every day anymore, but often. Sometimes she just sits on the porch with me while the baby plays with a rattle. She tells me stories from the hospital. Births that went sideways, births that went quiet, mothers who walked out smiling, and mothers who left in tears. She's seen everything. I think that's why she doesn't flinch when I talk about what happened. A few nights ago, the baby had a fever. Not high, but high enough to scare me. I texted Diana without thinking. She was there in 20 minutes. She didn't question it. Just brought a thermometer, Pedialyte, and that steady calm she always carries. After the baby settled, I sat on the edge of the bed and said something I didn't plan to say. I told her she'd been more of a mother to me in a few weeks than my actual one had been my whole life. She didn't say anything dramatic, just squeezed my shoulder and said, "Good mothers show up, that's all it is." And she always has. She's the emergency contact on the daycare forms now. She helped me find a lawyer to put a boundary in writing, just in case the family ever tries again. She's even the one who reminded me to renew my driver's license because somehow, in the mess of diapers and deadlines, I forgot I still existed outside of motherhood. Every once in a while, I still think about Thanksgiving, about how much I used to love it. The food, the noise, the people crowded into the kitchen. For years, I thought those holidays were what made us a family. But now I know family isn't people who expect you to pick them up from Europe days after you nearly died in a hospital bed. It's not people who punish you with silence and then wave a holiday in your face like a leash. Family is a nurse who gave you her number when no one else showed up, who still shows up every time. The baby's first birthday is a few months away. I'm not inviting anyone from my old life. It'll just be me, him, maybe Carla, definitely Diana, maybe a small cake with too much frosting. A quiet day full of peace, and that's enough. It's more than I ever had.